I want to say good afternoon to our fellow yachtsmen and women out there. Obviously, most of the guys that are logged in are the guys that need some assistance out there, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So we will try and help as much as we can. We do have an expert on the panel this afternoon. Very gratefully, he's admitted to agree to help us. And from my side, let's just indicate that I'm Bertie Shamrell, and this is Diane next to me. We're from a company called Yachtsmart. It's a yacht school. The world has been turned on its head, and so has many people, the lives of people, the lives of industries, and so businesses. Our training school, which is part of the Cape Town Ocean Economy Initiative, did not escape this, so there are some impact on our own business as well. Firsthand, myself and Diane experienced the COVID. We were caught in the lockdown. The last flight out of America we had to catch, and we actually, unfortunately, did not make it. We were stuck in the US for four months. And during that time, we communicated with DIRCO and the embassies, and we picked up that the seafarers actually went through the South African seafarers did not have a good time in getting back to their home country. As I said, we are very privileged to have Alec Pooley from Grand Travel with us in this discussion today. Alec jumped, fortunately for us and our guys in our group, the Sapphire's Getting Home group, he jumped in and saw that the guys were sort of stuck. And he's done a great work in helping our yachtsmen and women and getting on the flight back home. That time it was repatriation flights. And Alec will share some information on the new lockdown rules as well as visa applications, because that is one of the issues that South Africans do deal on a daily basis. It's the applications for visas and also the renewals. I'm going to start the discussion by asking questions to Alec. After that, I will open the floor for those guys out there that have questions of their own. I'm pretty sure you do. And hopefully through this session, everybody will come out and be a bit more enlightened about the lockdown rules and also the maybe some visa issues, because it is a difficult subject to discuss. So Alec, if I can fire away, if you don't mind, we now have the normal commercial flights to and from South Africa being reinstated, and people that want to get back home to South Africa do not really need to liaise with DIRCO and the embassies anymore. What we would like to know is, what is the current situation with traveling from other countries to South Africa? Are the flights, the commercial flights, really back to normal? And if they are, which destinations in South Africa are available for our seafarers out there?
Cool. Yeah, look, I'd just like to say hello to everyone first. And then also just to advise, everything that I'm going to say is the letter of the law that we've been given. However, the letter of the law around the world doesn't necessarily mean that it's being implemented due to, the sheer amount of changes recently. There's lots of immigrations around the world that haven't been updated accordingly, or an immigration officer doesn't know the new changes, everything like that. So unfortunately, everything has to be taken with a pinch of salt. This is the way that things should be being run from the information that's been provided by the South African government. But there will be instances, and there are instances happening all over, when things have been misread or misinterpreted. So the current situation is, if you're on a South African passport and you want to come home, you are allowed to come home. It doesn't matter if it's from a high-risk country. It doesn't matter if it's from a low-risk country. You do not need travel insurance. It's one thing that's the big question being asked. That's only for foreigners. So you can just book a flight and come home. You do not need to go through DIRCO approval anymore. You do not need to get an LP letter from an embassy or various things like you used to do. It should be as simple as booking a flight online or going through a travel agent or whatnot, jumping on the plane and coming home. So that's the letter of the law at the moment. You do need a COVID result within 72 hours of departing, and you need to have that readily available when you arrive in South Africa. When you arrive in South Africa and you have that, you do not need to quarantine. You do not need to fill in the self-quarantine application anymore either. You should be able to show up with your result, show them. They will then do their various health screening checks themselves, and then you should be allowed to go home. Now that's, as I said, the letter of the law. We have been getting many instances of people being, attempted to deny boarding at various places. To give you an idea, we had one of our clients who tried to leave Malta yesterday. They had all the paperwork, their COVID test, everything. They were then told that he was not allowed to travel because he's coming from a high-risk country. Now, that does not apply to South Africans. Eventually, I said, you do not leave there. You fight it out. I spoke to the lady there. I gave them the real laws. Eventually, she phoned Lufthansa in Frankfurt, and they confirmed that Malta Lufthansa had not been updated with the proper rules. So there are going to be times out there where people are not updated as such. Obviously, we're always here if people need help with flights, and having a trusted travel agent on standby who know the rules and can tell the rules confidently. And yes, if you don't want to use a travel agent like ourselves, I'd recommend using any travel agent. At this time, I would, definitely recommend people not trying to do these things by themselves, because plenty can still go wrong.
Alex, thank you for that. I think I can vouch for that. In the initial stages of the COVID, we had a lot of problems with travel agents, especially the call center guys. They accepted your commercial flight booking, and then when the guys we wanted to fly, they said, no, it's not. You can't fly.
It's not valid.
You need to go.
Yes.
So, and then you sit with all these refunds, not refunds, they give you credit for it, and then you can apply it at another time. So, we appreciate the fact that what you guys have done, because you obviously mastered the understanding of the laws and how to help the clients correctly. And the airlines at that stage was the correct channel. In other words, book with the airlines directly. And eventually the travel agents like yourselves caught on and managed to assist the guys and getting to know the different processes with repatriation.
Correct.
So I would advise the guys strongly to speak to guys like yourself. And as I said, you have been instrumental in some of our support to some of our group members. Travel insurance, does that, so what you're saying is that South Africans don't need travel insurance when they come home, and also medical aid would then also not be applicable, right? So it doesn't have
so it's not needed. As I said before, some people are going to get issues at the border because, not at the border, sorry, at foreign countries, at immigration there, because the immigration officers don't know the rules, or the airport check-in staff don't know the rules. On their systems, this travel insurance thing will keep popping up. So one of the things what we've done for clients now is we actually get complimentary travel insurance through our business whenever we book tickets. It does have quite a high excess on it, but it is a free policy. So what we've been doing is we've been giving all of our clients free travel insurance anyway, just in case they get stopped along the way. So it doesn't cost us a thing. It's a deal that we've got with our bank whenever we issue tickets and things like that. So if people feel better in having it anyway, even though, as I said, it's not technically needed, it's better to have more than less.
And does that cover COVID-19 issues?
Yes, it does. As I said, I think the excess, it does start at about 5,000 Rand because it is a free policy, and anything for free isn't really free, but at least they'll be able to carry it, for immigration purposes. And worse come, if their luggage was stolen or there was a COVID situation, then they would be covered underneath that.
Great, thank you very much. Some visa questions, and this is what I've picked up through the different groups, and obviously South Africans our passport is not that acceptable all across the world. You would need visas to enter, and for whatever economical reasons that may be. But on returning to a Schengen area, a European country from South Africa, which are the documents that would be required by the airline and that country, allowing a person firstly on the flight and then into the country?
So this would be a scenario where the person already has a valid Schengen visa, correct?
Yes,
Yes, all right. So this is quite a complicated one. every single Schengen country right now is having their own little teeny tiny T's and C's about entry. It's all about their COVID numbers and how their immigration works. But the general rule would be, if they've got a Schengen visa and they're traveling to Europe now, they should be going for yachting purposes. If that is the case, then COVID tests are not necessarily required from a lot of the European countries. Certain airlines do want you to have it, and that's an airline thing, not a country thing. But yeah, you would need your normal boat documents. Preferably, everyone should have a seaman's book. Seaman's book is the main thing that's immigration in Europe seems to be asking at the moment. But your contract, preferably a port letter, boat registration papers, seaman's book. Those are the standard things for seafarers to prove. Don't forget, also, South Africans aren't actually supposed to be traveling into Europe for normal short stay visa purposes. They should be, the only reason they're allowed in is in transit, which would mean transiting on a way to a boat. So they need to prove they are joining a boat. As I said, that's letter of the law. A lot of people are getting into Europe, to go see friends, family, loved ones, whatnot. But technically, the law for most European countries is South African passports are not allowed to be there on a C-type visa for leisure purposes.
America seems to be the most problematic area for South Africans to get in.
So funny, it's funny that you said, sorry to cut you off, funny that you say that. It's actually it's been the easiest for getting people on the actual ground, it seems, with our clients. As I said, we like to arm our clients with a lot of paperwork. So, we've got some creative solutions for guys who haven't got employment in the US yet and want to get stamped in on their B1 section of their B1, B2. And we've gone through some very, very lengthy paperwork processes. And majority of the guys we got feedback from, they've literally walked straight in with a business or leisure question, and that's it. Obviously, that's not to be trusted for everyone, but I've never seen US immigration as relaxed in the last 10 years, funnily enough.
Thank you. That's interesting. That's real.
It's very interesting. It's confusing and interesting at the same time.
Yeah, but historically, they've been the most difficult to.
Yes, 100%. That's, as I said, the last 10 years, that's the most stressful one I've got to deal with. Majority of our guys goes through JFK at the moment because Fort Lauderdale is not an easy direct option, but JFK has been the easiest it's ever been for some reason. We don't know why. But yeah, look, still at the end of the day with that, as always, rather take more paperwork than less.
Yes.
And you say there are creative ways to.
There's very creative ways for the guys listening who don't have employment lined up yet, and they do already have their visas. You can contact us whenever. We'll walk you through what's been working with other people. We ensure that you're stamped in on your B1 section, so once you do find work, you're free to work on the boats and stuff like that. Yeah, there is various creative solutions that we can discuss.
Great, thanks, Ali. If you have a B1, staying in the American zone, if you have a B1 or B2 visa and you do not have employment letters from the boat, owning the boat, will they allow you entry?
Using creative solutions, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's not that complicated.
Yeah, from what we've seen, a lot of people haven't even been asked why they're there. They've just said business or leisure, and that is obviously to ascertain which B1 or B2 they're going to be stamped in on. They can, usually if they do have boat papers, that's when more questions are asked. They ask why they're there. I'm going to a boat. That's when the real questioning starts. We've had more questions asked to our guys who have employment than don't have employment, funny enough.
What is the if I do have my employment letters, what is the type of visa that I would require to be stamped in to get into the US?
So they would still stamp you on a B1. Obviously, look, a lot of people listening from various seafarer backgrounds will be asking about a C1D, which is actually technically a seaman in transit visa. That's only valid for the cruise liners and the oil rigs and that kind of thing. A lot of people say, I'm going on the yachts, I'm going to get a C1D. Please don't. The yachts aren't going to hire you on there. US immigration understands that there doesn't seem to really be a visa for motor yachting personnel. So it's quite widely known that US immigration accepts the B1, B2 if you are going onto a boat.
That's what I've picked up myself.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alec.
All right, that is useful information. What is the position if I am in the US and especially during COVID times, a lot of the guys had to be rerouted through countries like the Netherlands, Turkey, Schengen, other Schengen, Lufthansa, from the US, and then they would need to come to South Africa. You wouldn't need a Schengen visa if you're in transit, right?
As long as you're in transit for less than 24 hours, that's the standard rule. And it's a through fare, i.e. it's not 2 separate tickets. You should not need a transit visa.
Okay, so it must be a through fare and must be longer than 24 hours stay over.
Yeah, and just an interesting point on that, one that we get a lot, and it's one of the most confusing but interesting rules in travel, transiting through the UK. Now, if you have a B1, B2 visa or a US visa in general, you are allowed to transit through London or anywhere through the UK for that matter. So a lot of people stay away from it because usually if you're on a South African passport, wherever you fly in the world, you need a transit visa for the UK. However, there is an exception. If you do have a valid US visa, you do not need a transit visa for the UK. It's something that people get very confused about.
No.
Even if you weren't even traveling from America, say if you were traveling from Nice and you wanted to come home now and you went Nice, London, London, Cape Town, you do not need a transit visa for the UK if you have a valid US visa.
Okay.
Only if you have a valid USA.
Only if you have a valid US visa. And as far as I know, Canada and Australian visas also work the same way. But obviously, we'd have to double check that one.
That's good news. Thank you for that.
No worries.
If my contract of employment, and this is something we picked up, especially during COVID, and I think there was one country that sort of stood out, I think it was in France, I'm not sure. If my contract of employment is terminated by a boat in a Schengen area, a European country, and I have a valid Schengen visa, will I be able to stay in that country, or do I need to get back to South Africa?
Okay, so that also depends on the type of visa it was originally issued on. A lot of people, obviously, before lockdown, went overseas on a C-type visa they acquired through tourism reasons or a business visit reason. If they've got something like that on there, then yes, you can, as long as you not pass your standard 90 days amount. So on that case, yes, you can cruise around a bit and everything like that. Then if you are on a seaman in transit visa, and it says that on the visa, for France, they don't usually do it, but Spain, they do. It says transito on there, also for the Italians, as far as I know. You're technically only supposed to be on land for 5 days before leaving the country.
Okay. Which airlines have the most flights from Europe to South Africa at the moment?
It's kind of gone back to normality for Cape Town and Johannesburg. The kind of more affordable, flexible airlines like Emirates and Qatar, they're flying pretty much daily now. KLM also has daily flights to South Africa. Lufthansa is back quite often. Turkish Airlines is another good one, but they've had many issues during lockdown, so we're slightly hesitant on them at the moment. But the reliable ones I would recommend Emirates and Qatar.
Yeah.
And any flights from the UK at the moment? Because they are...
Yeah, it's just started flying down. The whispers in the travel community is try not to book BA too far in advance, just because the BA originally planned to come back because of the summer coming up. And then the list came out and UK was on this high risk thing. So apparently BA's development committee is looking at maybe stopping flights again, just because it's not going to be worthwhile with, the whole UK tourist market not able to come down to South Africa in the next, at least this month. So yeah, BA, I wouldn't recommend booking without an agent for sure.
Right. I missed a question on the visas. Where can I renew a visa for the US if I'm in a European country?
Yeah, so this is a big issue at the moment. The US was only seeing during lockdown residents of that country. So we've done a lot of kind of US runs to Bahamas and Barbados and things like that. That is now not possible. They're not seeing anyone unless it's the residents of that country. We also used to do quite a few for South Africans in the Republic of Ireland and things like that. It's not possible. It stopped being possible a while ago. And as of probably about 2 days ago, we started getting emails from the US consulate saying that they're not accepting any applications for South African passports at all currently, which is it's a huge blow that we've had in the last few days.
Wow.
That's even in South Africa?
Even in South Africa, yeah. We had 17 emergency appointments pending because you had to do it through an emergency expedition process. These guys are all had their boat papers ready to go. And something we've been doing the last few months is you request an expedite, then within a few days you get an emergency appointment. As long as you can prove that you urgently need to travel. All of those guys got emails yesterday saying, sorry, no more expedition appointments. We are basically pausing applications for now. So they haven't given us any information about when it's going to start again. We are trying to find someone, i.e. a human being who can answer our questions, but yeah, we're struggling.
Sure, okay. Thank you for that. I think you've answered most of my questions. And these are the questions, as I said, which I could gather from the groups that we interact with and how the guys are asking what is their concern. But these are my questions. I'm pretty sure some of the guys that are logged in may have their own questions, and that's why they basically thought it was good to attend the seminar or this webinar.
Yep.
I will ask them now to invite them to ask you or myself, but predominantly you, the industry specialist. I'll ask them to invite them to ask you any questions. But just for the information of everyone, if we can't answer, and I'm sure it might happen that we can't answer everybody's questions, we will definitely get the answer and respond accordingly thereafter. So if there's any questions to Alec that are logged in, you're welcome to ask now. Anyone's got any questions for Alec? So if there are no further questions, I think I will wrap up. Alec, thank you very much. You from obviously Grand Travel, it's your agency. I think you guys did an exceptional work in helping our seafarers out there. Thank you for participating in this webinar.
I'm very sorry.
There's somebody.
Just sorry, I got in there late, so I might have missed something.
No worries.
Question. I've got a sailor that's currently in Saint Lucia in the Caribbean, and he's got to get home. Apparently, they left South Africa. 40-day trip, got there only to find out they didn't do the test, the COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're currently in quarantine. Then they've got to get from there to the USA, which they're leaving, I think, today, and they're going to Miami. Just a question on, will they be able to arrive in the USA and then get off there? And then travel from there back to South Africa?
Does he have a valid US visa?
Yes, he does. He does.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have any problem disembarking there. The US doesn't require a COVID test or anything like that on arrival. As I'm sure you know, that the US has been quite relaxed with COVID in general. So he shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. If he is, what's his plans? Is he planning to come home once he arrives there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's got to go from Miami. I think he said he's got to go to either Washington or New York to get a flight back. That was his plan.
Cool. So if he needs help with a flight, just get into contact with us. We can get him flights out of Miami. He doesn't need to go to Washington or New York. As long as he's got his valid visa and can prove that he's leaving the country, they shouldn't give him too many issues. So So for his situation, it'll be recommended so that he has a ticket by the time he arrives. Just so when they ask, what's going on, he can say, look, I'm just here, I'm catching a flight, I'm leaving. Then they should give him minimal hassle.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alec.
Cool, no problem.
Thank you, Alec. Anyone else with questions? All right, so we'll post the details of Alec once again on our group, on our Facebook page, and you're welcome to make contact with Alec directly. You're also welcome to read our regular blogs on super yachts, And yeah, thank you very much. The recording of this video will be available in the Yachtsmart group and YouTube, and surely assist those persons who could not join the group today. Thank you very much. Thanks, Alec.
Thank you, Alec.
Cool, no problem. And guys, if anyone needs us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on the internet standard ways. It's all under Grand Travel. Best opportunity to get hold of us is to get us on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp numbers are on there. We're on our WhatsApp line pretty much 24 hours a day, especially for the US guys. I know you might be waking up different times to us, but we do work into the evening. So yeah, feel free to message us when you wake up in the US. If you need us, we are around.
Great.
Alec, last question in your glass bowl. When do you see the COVID opening up so that we can get our courses back on track?
Yeah, well, look, from a course point of view, we work with a few operators around. I would say, you know, when there's a will, there's a way. If people have their courses and they're looking to go overseas with employment or not, there's ways of getting around it. We've got lots of people out who have finished their courses and are green in the industry. And we've got a lot of them out there now working away with the contacts we've given them overseas. So yeah, I wouldn't try and put off too many plans soon. If guys are listening and they still want to do their courses, I would say get started with your courses if you can. Once that's sorted, we look at the next step. But yeah, anything is possible during this time. You just need someone who can think out the box a bit.
Oh, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Yeah, and as I say, with Yachtsmart we specialize in engineering courses, but some of our other courses are in the process of getting accreditation ready for January. But before we bore the guys, thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Alec. Thank you so much for everybody to listen, and we'll post a video on YouTube, and we'll post it on Facebook for everybody to listen to in the unleashed. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Okay.
All the
Yes.
best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Goodbye.